I always knew something was wrong with my neighbor. I just didn't know what. Devin lived next door for 3 years, and in all that time, I'd never seen him angry, never heard him raise his voice, never noticed anything that would make me question who he was. He was the kind of neighbor everyone wished they had. Quiet, respectful, always offering to help carry groceries or shovel snow. But there was something about the way he moved through the world that felt rehearsed, like he was following a script only he could see. I couldn't explain it to anyone without sounding paranoid, so I kept my weird feelings to myself and waved politely whenever our paths crossed. The first concrete thing I noticed happened on a Wednesday morning in late September. I was leaving for work around 6:30 when I saw Devin loading boxes into his trunk. Nothing unusual about that, except these weren't regular moving boxes or storage containers. They were medical supply boxes with bright red labels that said biohazard and refrigerate immediately. He spotted me staring and smiled that perfect smile he always had, explaining he volunteered at a medical research facility and sometimes transported samples to the university lab across town. It made sense on the surface, but something about his explanation felt too smooth, too prepared, like he'd been expecting someone to ask and had rehearsed his answer. I mentioned it to my wife Natasha that evening while we were making dinner. She rolled her eyes and reminded me that Devin had told us about his volunteer work when he first moved in. He'd even shown us pictures of the research facility where he spent his weekends helping with administrative tasks. She thought I was being ridiculous for reading into something so innocent, and maybe she was right. Devin had never given us any real reason to doubt him. He was always pleasant, always helpful, always exactly where he said he'd be. That consistency should have been reassuring, but instead it made me more uneasy. 3 weeks later, I was working from home when I heard sounds coming from Devin's garage. Loud metallic scraping followed by what sounded like power tools running at full speed. Our houses shared a property line, and his garage was close enough that I could hear pretty much everything that happened in there. The noise continued for hours, stopping only when I heard his car pull out around 2 in the afternoon. Curiosity got the better of me, and I walked over to his garage door, pressing my ear against it to see if I could figure out what he'd been working on. Silence. Complete and total silence, like nobody had been in there at all. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about those sounds. Power tools running for hours, metallic scraping, then absolute silence. What kind of project required that much work but left no evidence of construction or renovation? I started paying closer attention to Devin's patterns. He left every Wednesday and Friday at exactly 2 in the afternoon, returning around 8 in the evening. He carried the biohazard boxes every Wednesday without fail, and every Friday, he came back with his trunk sitting lower on the suspension, like he was carrying something extremely heavy. Natasha noticed me watching out the window one evening and asked if I was becoming obsessed with our neighbor. I tried to explain the patterns I'd noticed, but saying them out loud made them sound even more paranoid than they felt in my head. She suggested I was stressed about work and looking for distractions. Maybe she was right. My job as an insurance investigator probably made me see suspicious patterns where none existed. I decided to drop it and stop paying attention to Devin's schedule. But then, the smell started. It was subtle at first, like spoiled meat mixed with chemicals. The kind of smell that makes your stomach turn without being strong enough to pinpoint the source. It seemed to be coming from Devin's side of the property, specifically near his garage. I walked around our shared fence line one morning before work, trying to locate where the smell was strongest. It definitely came from his garage, but I couldn't see anything through the small window near the door. The glass was covered with some kind of dark film that blocked any view inside. Full story on my channel and linked below.